Welcome to the Lovestead. This turned out better than the last loaf. It's actually cooked all the way this time. Yay! Hi vlog, it is February 2nd, a Monday. Just getting things kicked off here with what I'm reading. I don't know what I want to read for my book that's under 500 pages. So I'm going to read the next bind up in my Garfield collection, which is the bind up number 4, Garfield Weighs In. And then hopefully by the time I have read this, I will have picked out the book that I want to read. The big book that I'm currently reading, which is a book over 500 pages, is Ruin by John Gwynne. I'm 200 pages in, and it is 750 pages long, so quite a ways to go yet. That's what I'm reading. Whew, happy February. I figured out what I'm going to read. My in-person book club is meeting next Monday, and our book for this month is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. That is available on KU. I don't own it. I should own it because I've read it so many times, but I don't own it. So it's available on KU. So that's what I'm going to pick up next, and hopefully I'll finish it by Monday, but if I don't, it's not a big deal because I have read it so many times. Probably at least 4 times. I'm making tea, but here's the Lego mug that I was telling you about that my grandma gave me back in like the early 2000s. And the print on it is kind of starting to wear off and fade. But I love it. And I'll always use it. So yeah, that's what I was afraid might happen to my Garfield mug. Hush you! Sorry, it's my new tea kettle water warmer. Her name is Bernadette, and she is noisy. She's a noisy girl. But I love the blue light. Should we do the predict my star rating based on the first line of the bell jar? So the first line of the bell jar is, "It was a queer, sultry summer. The summer they electrocuted the Rosenbergs, and I didn't know what I was doing in New York." Now, I already know what I usually rate this book, so I'll try to be as objective as possible and pretend like I haven't read this several times. But based on that opening sentence, I would say 4 stars for my rating. What about you? What would you rate it on the opening sentence? Okay, this is sourdough loaf number 3, and it'll be my first time doing inclusions. I'm going to do jalapeno cheddar, but I think this is going to be, look at the bubbles. I think this is going to be my best loaf so far because it bulk fermented, just like absolute perfection. Oh my gosh. Hi, cute boy. Look at your face. Oh. I never updated you on the jalapeno cheddar sourdough, but here it is. It's delicious. I'm having it with toast, or not with toast. I toasted it for breakfast this morning with some scrambled eggs. Happy Valentine's Day. How cute is this? Flip. Flip. You're a lousy reader, Garfield. You play a lousy game of flip, fella. That's so cute. I love Garfield so much. Hi, vlog. It's Saturday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm not doing anything for Valentine's Day, but if you are, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Reading updates. I am about 37% of the way through The Bell Jar. When I first read The Bell Jar, the first 4 times that I read it, I was pretty young. So I read it in high school, I read it twice as an undergrad, and I read it once as a grad student. And that was all before I turned 30. And I'm 40 now. And having matured a bit, I'm noticing some things about the main character that I hadn't seen before. When I originally had read this book as a younger person, I identified a lot with the main character. And I think because I identified with her so much, I missed some character flaws that are pretty alarming, actually. So the main character in this story is quite selfish and self-centered, particularly in how she treats her friend Doreen. So Doreen and the main character, I'll be damned if I can remember the main character's name right now. One moment. The main character's name is Esther. Esther is at this internship in New York City with a bunch of other girls. They're at the end of their degree programs. They're interning with this magazine. So they're all living in this hotel together for this program. And one of the girls she becomes friends with, I should say women, she becomes friends with, her name's Doreen. Doreen's a little bit different from everyone. She's a little more mature. She's a little bit of a partier. She doesn't quite care as much about scholarships and things like that. So Esther and Doreen go out for a night on the town. And they end up going home with these guys to this guy Lenny's house. And Esther sits there and kind of gets drunk and just sits there while Doreen and Lenny start doing stuff. And then Esther has the thought like, I wonder if Doreen's in danger. And then she gets bored, so she leaves. And she just leaves Doreen there. And she doesn't tell them that she's leaving. She doesn't check in to see if Doreen's okay. She just leaves. Like, why would you do that to someone? Then she gets back to the hotel, and later in the night, there's a knock on her door, and like the hotel mom or whatever is like, your friend is home. And Doreen's there, and she is drunk as a skunk and kind of falls over in the hallway. And like the hotel mom leaves thinking that Esther's going to take care of her. So Doreen falls over in the hallway and like pukes and all that. And Esther leaves her in the hallway and goes back to bed. And she decides that Doreen isn't someone I really want to hang out with. I'm going to go hang out with these other girls that are like the good girls. I don't want to be like Doreen. She just leaves her in the hallway all night. Like, why would you do that to someone? That's so cruel. It's so selfish. And then the group of women, they go to a luncheon hosted by like a food magazine. And they all get food poisoning, except for Doreen, because she's decided she's not going to go to that luncheon. She's off doing her own thing. So she's the only one who doesn't get food poisoning. And while all the other girls are down for the count, super, super sick, Doreen takes care of Esther and brings her soup and makes sure she's tucked away in bed. And then Esther's like, I kind of missed her. What? So when Doreen is helping you and acting in service to you, you care about her. Ew, that's yucky. That's real yucky. That's a real not great way to treat somebody. And I didn't catch on to that the first couple of times that I read this book. But now, yeah. The first few times I've read this book, I kind of felt like Esther was a victim in a lot of ways. Reading it this time, Esther's a bit of a spoiled brat. Esther's a bit of an entitled, selfish person. And part of her depression, I think, stems from that sense of entitlement. I do want to read you my favorite quote from this that sticks out to me every single time I read this book. And it's the quote about the fig tree, which I think a lot of people talk about when they read this book. But the quote about the fig tree, it stuck with me. And for a long time, it's like all that I remembered from the story. So this is about not being able to decide what path is right for you and kind of being paralyzed because you want to do so much. And that has definitely been my experience in life. Except I feel like I found a way to do a lot of the things that I wanted to do, just not as like big as I expected to. You know what I mean? Which that's another topic we can talk about sometime. But here's the fig tree quote / story that I think is pretty famous, but that stuck with me like few other passages and books have ever stuck with me. So it says, I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig in the story, or the green fig tree. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children, and another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor, and another fig was E.G., the amazing editor, and another fig was Europe and Africa and South America, and another fig was Constantine, and Socrates and Attila, and a pack of other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions. And another fig was an Olympic lady crew champion. And beyond and above these figs were many more figs I couldn't quite make out. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And as I sat there unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one they plopped to the ground at my feet. That passage right there, that stuck with me. It so perfectly describes how I felt as a young person and how I even sometimes still feel today. This countertop is a mess because I've been working on my next sourdough loaf, which is proofing right here. But I have a little repotting project. Unfortunately, Mr. Thunder attempted to murder Princeton and Harry Styles. So I have these two containers. This used to have a begonia in it that obviously died. So I think I'm going to put Harry Styles in the teal and Princeton in the olive green. And there they are, repotted, Harry Styles and Princeton. Hopefully they bounce back. He also attempted to murder my fig tree here named Ada and my night blooming orchid, which is Pie's memorial plant. So Thunder is not allowed in my office unsupervised anymore. Right, Finestra? Right. Hi, y'all. It's super late, Wednesday, February 18th. It's not a reading update, but just a cute little story I want to share, mainly for my own memory keeping purposes, which is one of the reasons I do these vlogs. So, I have been blessed, like so blessed, to have a young grandma. I'll be 41 years old in a week. And my grandma is still alive and doing well. She was young when I was born. So
I've been so lucky to have had her in my life for all 41 years of my life, and hopefully more to come. Like, how many people can say that? Anyway, when I was little, I would go stay with her during the summer, and we just had such a good time together. And she has been a really important person in my life. I was cleaning out some boxes. My dad passed a couple years ago. We're still cleaning out boxes of just random stuff. One of the boxes had a bunch of my stuff in it from like elementary school, and I threw most of it away. But I kept some journals and I kept some other things. And in one of my journals, I have this journal entry from September 9th, 1993. So it says, Jessica, September 9th, 1993. I like my grandma because she comes to my house, and on her way back, she brings me along. My grandpa makes me laugh when he tells funny stories about when he was a boy and his sister was not really his sister. I wish we would go to the zoo. And then there's the horse. My grandpa that I'm writing about here, he passed away in 1995. But my grandma is still living, and I just know she'll get a kick out of seeing this. We had a few days that felt like spring. It was like 40, 50, 60 degrees. And here we are, February 18th, with a gorgeous little snowstorm. I love it. Buttershaw likes to watch the snowplows. We got 10 inches of snow last night, and it's like wet, heavy snow. I am stuck at my house. This is the other side of my house where my car is. It's all drifted in, and they haven't plowed our lot. And this is a different service than what we use. So who knows if I'm going to get out of here today. I need to go to the barn and do stalls, but it's looking like that might not happen. Hello, vlog. It is Saturday, February 21st. I have a bit of a migraine, so hopefully this is coherent and makes sense. I feel like I haven't done a great job vlogging this month, mostly because there's just not, I haven't been doing much other than work and basic chores. Honestly, that's taking a little bit of a toll on me too. So hopefully here in this last week of February, I'll be able to dedicate a little bit more time to reading and doing the things that fill my cup. I've been reading a lot of books on audio because at the end of the day, my eyes are so tired from staring at screens. So I've been reading a lot of audio, but I don't generally talk about my audiobooks in my vlogs because I like to offer some sort of new thing in my wrap-ups. I don't want to be completely redundant when I'm talking about books in my wrap-up, so I really just share books I'm reading with my eyes in my vlogs. I haven't finished a book yet with my eyes. I'm about 80% of the way through The Bell Jar. Loving it. Loving it. As I always do. Yeah, I do think that my perspective on things has changed a little bit since reading it the first 4 times when I was younger in my 20s. Like the stuff that I said about Esther still kind of stands true here at 80%, that she's a little bit self-absorbed. She's a little entitled. She is a little spoiled, you know, but she's also kind of been through some stuff. Like she's been through some trauma. And I think the combination of trauma, societal structures that were just not good for women in general, and her overall mindset is sort of what led to her mental breakdown. And originally when I read it, all I could see was like the societal structures that really contributed. But now that I know more about trauma, now that I know more about mental health, I feel like it's a little more complex than that. Which honestly speaks to the genius of Sylvia Plath. She was so nuanced with this. She understood so much about mental illness and was able to like layer it in a way that's like, yeah, this absolutely makes sense. I can absolutely see why Esther would want to do the things that she did. The experience, the way that she writes Esther's experience, it's from like first person point of view. So as you read it, you can kind of feel like the fractures in her thinking and the blank spots in her memory, and like you almost feel how Esther is feeling in a way that you're like, ooh, I need to step away for a second before I end up like this, because it's just so visceral. It's so visceral. It's so tangible. Sylvia Plath is just incredible. She's just an incredible writer. There's no one like her, really.
He's so stinking cute. Good girl. That's Mona. This week's loaf is a bit wild looking. I tried to do the wheat, you know how, anyway, when I was scoring, yeah, it didn't work. I just filmed my March TBR, and Mr. Ollie makes a lovely guest appearance in the video. I think he's working up a hairball because he's been a very needy boy. Yeah, you making biscuits on me. Yeah, come snuggle. We'll get your hot tummy all taken care of. Oh, you guys just got an Ollie kiss. Lucky, lucky viewers. I finally started watching season 2 of Keeping Up Appearances. I think I'll be able to watch it all and finish it here today, the very last day of February. And the first episode. So Hyacinth has her husband Richard trying to spy on the neighbor, because the neighbor, well, it's her husband. He came home from being overseas, and Hyacinth thinks that she's having some sort of illicit affair. And so she's like sending she's sending Richard outside to try and like she like wants him to wave at them, and the problem is neither of the neighbor nor her husband are outside to wave at. So then Hyacinth like come back in, and they're just doing they're just like going in and out, and then the neighbor is watching them from inside the house, and they're like, what are they doing? It's so funny. Oh, and you like everybody gives Hyacinth such a hard time. Like, Richard is so complicit in all of her shenanigans. Like, he just does whatever she tells him. And I have to believe that he like is, there's some part of him that is highly entertained by all of this, because why else would he do it? He looks ridiculous. Oh, okay. Already season 2 has me like in tears laughing. Okay, my bad. It wasn't Elizabeth's husband. It was her brother. But still not an illicit affair.